Welcome to another episode of the Lords of Consciousness podcast, video cast. I am your host, Clint-Culberson, and today I'm super excited because I'm joined by one of my best friends in the whole world, and she's one of the coolest people I've ever met, and she's coming to us from all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, North America, Western Hemisphere, planet Earth, Milky Way galaxy. Miss Leigh Girodat, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Clint?
Good. So, Leigh and I have been friends for a couple years. We pretty much, became friends through the original Lords of Consciousness Facebook group that has inspired this media site. She is also a co-creator in this site and has come out. She's done some incredible stuff and blogs and interviews. That one of our best interviews we've ever had with Michaela Sheldon, and Leigh did that, and it's super awesome. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that one out. And it's funny that you did that interview, Leigh, because in so many ways that's am I saying it right if I say Michaela?
I think it's Michaela.
Okay, Michaela. Damn it. Michaela is in many ways, you and her play in the same realms, and she's a channeler, and so are you, Leigh, and you're also you told me you call it a professional intuitive. And basically what Leigh does is she does life readings and channeling. And you described it as taking the chaos of our emotional bodies and putting them into different order and perspective. And Leigh works with individuals and helps kind of get through certain blocks by whatever the heck you're tapping into. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on, because I wanted to have you kind of talk about it, maybe break down some of the voodoo magic behind it that some people might think, or some of the, I don't want to say ignorance, but maybe ignorance. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way, but just an unknowing that so many of us have. Because for whatever reason, many of these like esoteric type of abilities, or I want to make sure I describe it right. And I come from this world of ignorance, and I'm only in the last several years have I become aware of these abilities that are beyond the five senses. Why do you think they've been so I don't know, looked down upon, or just shunned, or put off to the side as quackery and that kind of thing? What do you think?
Well, I think there's two things to that. One is that the people with the abilities or gifts. Well, first of all, I believe that all of us have a certain amount that we're just not quite tapped into. But for those of us who are strongly aware of them, part of not being afraid to shine our light in that way, because of the taboo, kind of doesn't allow it to progress forward. We kind of block ourselves in that way. And then second of all, it challenges people's beliefs. So anytime you've got those two things going alongside each other, it's really hard to move forward with it. With the fact that you're nervous to share yourself, and then the outside world is nervous to have you share yourself because it challenges them. It triggers something within them that they're not comfortable with. So I think the more that people heal themselves, and the more that people come out and say, hey, this is who I am, the more you are going to start seeing this type of work or this type of energy everywhere, really. The more you're open to it, the more it comes forward.
How would you describe exactly what's going on? It seems from my perspective, it seems like you're like just being able to tap into some sort of frequency that is there. It's not necessarily your own, but it's more that you're a transmitter. Is that a decent description, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, I would say that it's well, first of all, it takes a lot of um, a lot of work to become level. I would call it like a lighter body. Not that I'm done all my work, because we are always a work in progress, but you do have to have a certain amount complete before you can make room for the messages and for the energy to flow through you. If you are all blocked up and closed off, of course that energy can't come through you. And that's what I like to think of it as. When I'm in a session with someone, the energy is coming through me. I'm just a vessel and a conduit for that to express itself. And many people think it looks a certain way, whether that's a ghost walks in the room, or some physical thing is standing in front of me telling me what to say, or it really doesn't appear that way, for me anyways. I know that some people are very visual, but for me it's more of a expressing of what I can communicate with your guides and with your energy body. So I would say it's tapping into the frequency of your own expression, your own higher self.
Mm-hmm. So when Leigh actually sees different clients who come in and work with her, what does it look like when someone comes and sits down with you for the first time?
Well, I like to let them lie down. I find that people are just more comfortable when they've just, they take that weight off of their everyday physical bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And once you can kind of just take a few deep breaths and center yourself into being present, laying down, it really does allow you to be just to participate better in your own session. I like to stress that it's really not me, like I said, and so the more you can be present, the more it's going to benefit you. So people lay down, and the first thing I do is I establish a communication with their guides and their higher self, so that we know that channel is flowing nicely, and that I think it's out of respect to make sure that we've established that communication with whoever that is, whether it's our ancestral guides or our spiritual guides or just ourselves, our higher self. And once that's established, I like to move around your body. And for me, this is for me personally, different messages and different things that need to be brought forward come up around your energy field. So I need to walk around you and sort of what that is. That's my personal process. There's lots of other different ways out there. But yeah, that's typically what things look like. And the more you can talk with your guides, the better your appointment will be, it seems. It seems that people that really don't say anything, don't really get much back. It's like anything. What you put into it is what you get out of it. And I'm not a psychic. I'm not here to tell you what exactly is going to happen to you in the future or anything like that. I'm here to help you facilitate that process for you.
This world hasn't been kind to everyone. Let's just face it. There's a lot of whether it be from culture or from culture of all kinds. I mean, whether that could be a nationalistic culture, it could be a religious culture, it could be a family culture. You name it. And we, as humanity has evolved, it is an evolution. So. And people have come out of it with some bumps and bruises, it seems, especially in the day and age that we live in. We're coming out of people are waking up to these bumps and bruises that they've incurred in their life. They've realized that things aren't working for them. The pre-prescribed formula for happiness and success honestly seems to be crashing and burning, because so many people are finding that it's full of empty promises.
Right.
Why? I mean, it's like people like you are showing up now in greater abundance, I suppose, or in greater numbers with these incredible, like I would say, you were born with these abilities, I would say.
Right.
Maybe, do you believe though that guides like you are emerging onto the scene in a sense because there's so much work to be done? that people are finally open and ready to actually look at these things that are holding them back in their lives, these wounds, like you called the emotion, your emotional body.
Yeah. I think we've made room for it, and there's always that point where things have to get to a certain chaos before they can be rebuilt and done differently. But also, people are recognizing that their outside world does not match what they want, what they desire. But until you heal your inside world, you're not going to see the reflection coming back to you isn't going to be what you want. So I think that as people are recognizing that the outside world doesn't match what they highly want for this planet, we've tried to do all this outside work outside of ourselves, and it hasn't gotten us anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that where people are starting to realize that, it starts in here. It starts, the adventure in going inside, and versus the adventure to be had outside. I mean, there is a hero's journey waiting for you in your own self. And I think that when you do that work in yourself, it starts to spread outwards. I've talked about that before. And a lot of that is you, and then your house, and then your community, and, so forth. But it's going back to the roots. And I think that that's, part of why people are opening up to getting more help for themselves.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Because it's their desire to see what the outside world change too.
Right.
Right.
What are some of the most common? What do you think are some of the most common things that are holding people's emotional bodies back? What have you seen in with the work that you've been doing? And obviously, you don't have to talk specifics, but just what are the common themes that you see?
Right. Definitely learning to have unconditional love. That is a big one for yourself, and it transpires to others too. So unconditional love, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a really big one for people. Taking some of the energy back from people that have hurt you. I mean, a lot of people believe that forgiveness is about the other person, but it's not. It's about regaining your energy back from that person or that situation. Mm-hmm. It seems that we're all really fragmented, and a lot of this work is about bringing those pieces back. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say unconditional love, learning unconditional love, learning forgiveness, and remembering who you really are, at the core.
Mm-hmm.
To be those things, and then once you do all that, you begin to rewrite your story that you've been telling yourself, and that's a really big one for people too. To change their story from being victims in this world to seeing a different perspective.
Change your story, change your life.
Yeah, exactly.
One of our good friends, Mr. Bubba, who we're going to get on here very soon. But he's I should say, Leigh and I, one of our big brothers in the world, and someone who's consistently, bringing home that message of change your story, change your life. Exactly. And that is much easier said than done.
It is. It definitely is. It is not something that occurs overnight. And it is, that's the other thing about, I think, this new, if you want to say this new place that we're in right now, I think in the past, everything has been this force of positivity. Mm-hmm. And that's not where the healing happens. Mm-hmm. Right? It does not happen in the place of everything is, to just be happy, to just force yourself down that path. It has to be understood that this hurts. It hurts to heal. Mm-hmm. It is hard. It's a lot of work. It looks like a little bit of progress and maybe a step back. And that's part of it. I think that where we've gone wrong in the past, or I can't say wrong, but where we need the opportunity to learn from our past is that it's not all rainbows and sunshine and positivity in the world of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
The world of awakening is understanding that there's cycles, there's moments of deep darkness, there's more moments of uncomfortable places, and part of that is recognizing that, and that's where this piece of self-love and unconditional love comes in. If you can love yourself even in your darkest moments, that in itself is a form of healing.
Self-love is one of those terms that I always found to be so elusive in my own life, even though ironically it was like the key ingredient to my own evolution, to changing my story, changing my life.
Right.
But what does it really mean? I mean, okay, I love myself. I mean, we can say it, but what does it actually mean? What is the process of actually feeling that, as having those existential moments of where the floodgates open and you actually feel self-love beyond just saying the words?
Right. The point of liberation versus telling yourself that you truly do. Yeah. I mean, I believe it's a progress, like something that takes a lifetime, because it's forever. We're always changing, and so therefore we're always developing a new self.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's part of just being human. I don't think that we, fully are ever going to have it figured out completely necessarily. I mean, that's my own perspective right now. But, I think it's a progress. I think that we have to recognize that it is not something that's going to happen in a single moment. And we are going to get glimpses of that for sure. Like you said, the floodgates open. You feel like a child. You feel completely liberated in yourself. And you remember everything that you love about yourself. But it's like everything else. Even the moon disappears. There's a cycle there that happens with everything in our lives.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And so I think it's being aware of the cycles and loving yourself in the moments of all those too. I think self-love is a very broad term. I agree that sometimes that term itself can be pretty intimidating, because people, we think it needs to look like a certain thing. We've got this idea of what it looks like. Maybe it looks like, never getting down on yourself, or always appreciating your body in every moment, or but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and you alluded, you had brought up this imperative word, forgiveness, and as you said, there's all these cycles that are happening within us. It's this inner, outer. It's this, it's joy, it's sadness, it's all of it. It's all meant to be these, and it's always in constant motion. I mean, there's no such thing as just staying still. I mean, everything is temporary, and everything always is flowing into the next whatever. I mean, and forgiveness seems to be one that I've been learning so much about, in terms of just even when you think your body's ugly, or you think you're an asshole for doing this, or man, I messed up on this, you just have to, that's one key point of self-love that I think is so imperative, is to just forgive yourself, man. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to like call yourself out. I mean, there are moments where I do think a little righteous anger, whether that be for the outside world, but especially even at yourself, like little moments of like, come on, man, get your act together now. Let's do this. And then forgive yourself, and then, get back into, moving forward. So many people seem to get stuck in that, like, shame patterns, or that, that vicious circle. I'm sure you see it all the time, no?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that that's where a lot of disease comes from. I think that diseases are energy blocks in our system, that when we feel those things, that we don't let them go. And if we don't let them go, we're not making room for the next thing to come. And, forgiving yourself for being an asshole or whatever, but looking at it from a perspective of, okay, you can get mad at yourself and get angry at yourself. And that's what I mean about that whole old world of always being positive. It's not healthy, right? It shuts you down eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Because, but if you get mad at yourself, just don't unpack and live there. Just recognize that, okay, all right, now where's my opportunity to grow from this point?
Do you think then that anger, I mean, what place does anger have? Like, so often, like you said, if you live in a world of false positivity, that means you shun anything that's not positive. And yet all these non-positive emotions keep surfacing in your life. I mean, maybe it's cyclical, maybe you go through a time where it's not and you're feeling good. Right. And it's like, man, this is the way it's supposed to be forever. What do you do with those emotions? Like, how can those emotions actually help you, propel you? If you're in a relationship where anger keeps surfacing, how can anger actually be rocket fuel for you to propel you into something better?
Well, I think that sometimes you're just not getting it done, right? Like, sometimes you just need that anger to break everything down. I mean, and sometimes you ask the universe for moments, for things to move forward, and you're not getting the messages. And sometimes anger is one of those things that just is going to get it done for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's, I don't know, to quit your job in an angry place. Probably that wasn't the first time you wanted to quit your job. It probably for months you've been getting signs that slowly that's what you should be working towards. Mm-hmm. But you've ignored them for so long that now you've built up this place. And guess what? You're going to quit your job. So you are going to just explode. But the thing is that we would walk home then and say, oh, I shouldn't have done it that way and all this stuff. And you know what? Too bad. That's how it happened. That's how it got expressed. That's where you're at now. Okay, that energy is released. It's gone. Move forward. I mean, it's the same result. And yeah, we can sit there and say, I wish I had done that more professionally, or maybe, whichever. I wish I handled myself more gracefully. But the universe is full of balance and yin and yang. And sometimes this destruction and chaotic energy is transferred for our good. I mean, the universe does not separate emotion or beings or events into good and bad. Everything is just is. So I think that we need to treat our emotions with a little, and just patience for yourselves. We're all work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're allowed to call ourselves awakened, and we're allowed to call ourselves enlightened, and still have human emotions.
Oh, it's so true. And I think dialogues like this, just honest, and by the way, not to even shun positivity, because sometimes it's like, so often I find with anything, we go from one extreme to the other. We throw the baby out with the bathwater every single time. Oh, positivity is a bunch of bullshit. Oh, being angry there's no place for that. And it's like, no. Let's just step back for a second. Let's step back for a second and realize and be in like this space of acceptance and let it. I don't know, like, we're all trying to figure this out too. I mean, all of us, so more than anything, are students more than we are teachers at the end of the day. And we're all trying to like recognize these patterns that we see throughout our lives and what they're pointing towards or what they're trying to show us. And, we're all trying to get there. I just know that at the end of the day, if it's something that separates, then you probably haven't got there yet. That you probably have a limited view or limited scope of what is. Because I'm sure, in your moments of when you get into those frequencies, you get to tap into that divine, whatever you want to call it. You get those moments where you have the grand visions of it. You see that there's no separation.
No. I mean, and you're absolutely right. That's a good point. The moment you feel yourself separating things into good and bad, I mean, it's a vibration. You separate the world into good and bad. Basically, what comes back to you is your own separation of self into good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do get into that space that you were saying, everything is weaved together as a beautiful tapestry. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this separate separateness of things, right? And the more we separate things, things outside of us, it separates us inside, it separates us from each other. And yeah, there is moments for great positivity. Obviously, it serves us. It's just about sometimes in a situation asking yourself, what brings balance here versus going to the extremes of good and bad? How can I bring balance to this feeling? How can I bring balance to this emotion or this place I find myself in?
I want to turn. I want to ask you some questions about, your opinions and thoughts on. I suppose we call it extraterrestrials. Like what do you think? Well, one, why do we have such a difficulty accepting their existence and accepting the potential that they are involved in what's going on this planet, but in a non-interference way, in a sense? Why do we have so much trouble? I mean, is it just because we're so stuck into the 5 sense reality, and anything that goes beyond that, it's just written off? Or what do you think that is? And what do you think the role of other beings from out in the great vast space of whatever this universe is? What do you think their role is?
Well, first of all, I think that people have a hard time accepting it, and fear basically is the answer. I mean, we're really good at being fearful. We've got that down pat as a collective. We've learned that really well. So a lot of us are just afraid. It challenges too many of our beliefs. It challenges too many of the way that we view things, and it's hard to step out of that place of fear. We grew up in a society that has movies where they are going to hurt us, and where everything is bad. And religion, I mean, look at religion has taught us for a long time the pattern of, well, you better behave, or you better do good, and all those things. And I think this is another aspect to that there's this fear that something bad is going to happen to us. But has it yet? No, we're still here. If something bad was going to happen to us, I really don't believe we'd still be here. And I really don't believe that that's the way the world works. And I would include aliens or extraterrestrials or whatever you want to call it in the same energy system as the whole universe. So for me, it's hard to believe personally that it's negative. I just don't believe that the universe has this energy of negativity to it. So what that means is I don't know. I don't know if they're here, or if they would arrive, or if we are ever going to figure out everything, or if we get to, or if they're just already changing our world and we don't even know it. I'm not sure, but I do know that I just trust the universal energy. And I know that from my own experience, that's where a lot of the channeling of our wisdom comes from. And I believe that them to be a higher form of consciousness that we just don't understand yet. Mm-hmm. We're just not capable of understanding it right now. And I think we have to let go of what we think it's going to look like. And I think we have to let go of what we think about them, and just kind of trust and know that it's another beautiful aspect to our evolution.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought if there really are, more advanced species in the galaxy or in this universe, even if they're 1,000 years ahead of us, that's it. They probably have the technology to vaporize our entire planet already. So if they really were wanting to just, get us, it would have already been done. And right. So it seems very likely that there's definitely some element of non-interference, or, I mean, who knows what kind of interference they've had already. I mean, there's plenty of theories as to maleficent type of entities that have taken control of the leaders of this world, or whatever you want to call it. And, I can't say that I have any firsthand experiences with that, but either way, it does seem that that there is some interaction going on some level. And when I listen to certain channelers, I remember the very first time, my very first experience listening to Chandler was Bashar, who,
Wow.
Bashar
Yeah.
is quite a character too. So at first I'm like, what the heck is this weird? This is the strangest thing. I almost like, this guy's a fucking wacko. I'm done with this. I've like almost turned it off right away. And then I was like, okay, hold on. Just listen. And I remember in my Bible carrying days, there was always this one scripture that said, by their, I can't remember exactly, but it's like, by their fruits shall you know them. Okay, like at the end of the day, don't just judge a tree by its, by what it looks like. Judge it by its fruit, in a sense. Okay, so
Right.
if and I started listening to some of Bashar's stuff, and then when I just listened to the words, even though the approach was bizarre and strange and weird and trippy and psychedelic, to be honest with you, when I would really let the words soak in, the wisdom that was coming from him was beyond anything I had kind of ever heard before. And as I was started listening to other channelers, and again, not all of them are the same, but when these people are tapping into whatever this calling or gift is, and as weird as it might be, if you listen to the words and the wisdom, man, oh man, it has the ability to help your life. And even if it's bullshit, it doesn't, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care what they're tapping into. The stuff that they're saying is
Yeah.
helping my
Yeah.
life. And I think maybe even
Yeah.
for you, it's like for your clients, even if they don't have that experience themselves of, whatever you are tapping into, Leigh, at the end of the day, it's helping their life, and it's helping them process and get through and have a better, like a more clear vision. It's helping them be depolarized in the way they see the world, and
Mhm.
especially in 2017, where our whole entire world seems to be completely polarized, ready on the brink to explode on each other. If there was ever a time for depolarization, it's now, right?
Right. Well, and if there was any time to get rid of ourselves, we would have done it a long time ago. I mean, we've had that power to destroy each other for quite a while. It
Yeah.
could have happened, and at any point, and it hasn't. And I don't think it will. And I mean, I am open to how this evolution of consciousness takes place, but um, yeah, I mean, people, like you said, it doesn't really matter. It's about the energy coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'll have people say to me like, "Oh, well, she was probably just sending out this message that's what she wanted to talk about, and so you just picked up on that."
Right.
Okay, and what makes that different? She got to talk about it and express it and move on with it. What difference does it make if you see it that way and I see it this way, but the accomplishment is the same thing? I mean, we're really, too many of us are fighting over apples and oranges. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, that's why I said, like, going down to the roots. We spend too much time arguing over these extremes of right and wrong, good and bad, and it has no. It's this is the way the world works. No, this is the way the world works,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't spend enough time finding common things to bring to the table. And I think that's our next greatest piece, especially with some of the what's going on for you guys in the States. I mean, it is going on in a whole different global place too. Is that instead of, let's just drop what we all hardcore believe in for a little bit and bring to the table some ideas that we all feel the same about. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens from that point? What happens from that place of those common places, right? And I think that,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think I mean, that happens within us and it happens outside of us. And I think that, all of these things that are challenging us right now are the aliens, the president, the international politics. Every time we're forced to make a decision of good and bad, or to argue with your neighbor about certain things, we're separating all of ourselves and from each other.
Yeah.
So whether you believe in aliens or not, what's the commonality there? That that there's something greater than ourselves. Okay, what is having a president that you like versus I like? Where can we stand in the middle? Like, let's stop talking about all the stuff that we do or don't believe in. Let's let's find the common ground.
So true. Yeah, I mean, I think the world is in need of bridge builders more than anything that exists on this planet right now. Is to just what we need to build bridges between us. Even the person that you seem to be the most against. What if you were just given the task to build a bridge between you and someone that you seemingly are on the opposite ends of the spectrum with, and try to do that? What if that was just your goal? Forget, like you said, drop your story and your whole objective is build a bridge. If that was like if you win $1 million, if you do it, the world would change tomorrow. This world would start. We would create a momentum from that, just building small bridges. That I think really, truly could transform the landscape of this entire planet. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And what's the mirror that's being reflected back to me? If we are all, we all like to say we are all one. We're all one consciousness. We're all this oneness aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, when things don't go our way, we drop that belief.
Mm-hmm.
And, it can't be the way that we, it can't just be when it benefits us that we want to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be in those dark moments that we try and understand that same idea. When went right down to fighting with your spouse, your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right from that into the outer world. I mean, if we are one, what needs to be healed here? What's going on for me in this moment too, for both of us?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Leigh, tell the people where they can find you. If someone wanted to potentially, contact you, can you do sessions, remotely?
Yeah, just like you and I are talking right now. It's I can use Skype, or this works too, or I'd like to see you, but if you don't have the access to video, then we can still make it work. And then obviously here in Vancouver area, you can come to see me. But my Facebook page is Leigh Girodat, professional intuitive. So you can message me there. And I like to do fun stuff on there too, like we play tarot games and things like that, just to keep it light sometimes as well. So
Awesome. Well, I think many people are opening up to alternative methods of healing. Okay. And at the end of the day, results are what we're after. I mean, whatever means you got to do it. And I don't mean something that would compromise your integrity or your morals or anything like that, but I'm talking about even things that are beyond your regular five senses. And I think so many of us are waking up to the fact that this reality is far more complex than we ever used to think it was. And many of us are having personal experiences, whether that be through entheogenic experiences or not. It doesn't even mean you need a drug to get you there. But many people are starting to find that this is an interdimensional reality in many ways, and that there's so much more than what we can see and touch and taste and feel. And I think that's what people like you, Leigh, and healers out there who are doing this and really helping people. You're shining a big mirror on people, and I think it's really beautiful. And it, like you said, it requires the healer themselves to be actively involved in their own hero's journey, like you said. And if they're not, then you'll know the fruits. Like I said earlier, the fruits won't taste so good. The mirror might be cracked. I mean, maybe you still get something to help you, but the healers that are doing their own work, that are they're actively involved in their own journey, usually probably going to be able to help you with the biggest mirror or the clearest mirror or whatever you want to call that. So I just want to thank you for doing, answering your calling. And let me, before we end, what would you say to those out there who naturally have been who are tapping into into this frequency and feel like they have these gifts as well, but are scared to do something with it, to go out with it, to admit it, or to bring it out to the world, or to even do what you've been doing, where you're taking on clients and you're having an exchange. Yes, you're having a money exchange for these services, but it's a beautiful exchange, and it's something that's serving both parties. What would you say to someone who's right there and on the cusp of wanting to jump in themselves? Because the world needs a lot of healers, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I would say act as though it's already happening. Act as if you are in that space, because you are. And drop all your expectations of how the gift expands, and make room for it to have its own self-evolution, and just trust and let go. I mean, it'll turn on when you make room for it. It'll turn on like walking into a room and flicking that light switch. So start with little things and strengthen your intuition. Pay attention to the little signs, and then go from there. Act as if you already are that light being, that light worker.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll start to happen. Set the tone for yourself.
So beautiful. Yeah, I love it. And I mean, I'm seeing it in my own life. You're seeing it in your life, and it's a beautiful process to change your story, change your life. Literally, when you start, accepting it as if it's already happened for you, and you're just stepping into it. That's all you're doing. You're stepping into a world of abundance. You're stepping into your life's purpose. You're stepping into your gifts. You're stepping into the relationships that you're meant to be in, and it's kind of magical. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. I think there's a little bit of magic going on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Leigh,
I mean, let's make room for something amazing to come forward. Right?
Absolutely. You're one of my best friends in the whole world. I love the hell out of you. People find her. She's an absolutely incredible human being. I've been able to absorb so much of your wisdom throughout the years, and you've completely changed the way I see things in so many ways. You've been a mirror for me in so many ways. Check out some of her content on lordsofconsciousness.com, because she is a content creator with us, and so it's just been like an honor to team up with you in so many aspects of life. And now that you're stepping forward with your real purpose, I'm so beyond grateful. So it's awesome to watch. It's inspiring too.
Thanks, Ben. I feel the same. Thanks, Ben.
Woo, woo, woo. Peace out.